What is up, everyone? It's me again, GamerLush, with another episode of Final Fantasy Impressions. Today's episode, I'm going to be talking about my experiences with storyline and party play and the community in general. General impressions of the community is going to be swayed after of course, the pre-launch of the game where it's open to everyone instead of just beta players. Let's get on with this. Now, I went on to Final Fantasy hoping to get that same gameplay experience, party experience that I had from the previous one, 11, to where you could not go outside the city and quest so much with yourself enough. But in this day and age, a lot of people want single player gaming for their MMO for some reason. I don't. What? Oh, I don't know. It's convenient if you only got 15 minutes to play a game or something like that. Granted, I don't know why would you be jumping onto a game. Anyway, I'm getting off the track. To me, playing an MMO means that you should get together with other people, play in a party, get that social experience, because Final Fantasy 11, yes, it was super hardcore at the point to where you were leveling parties hours upon hours at a time, and it was ridiculous. But the time that you spent with those people and got the bond, because it's kind of like a bonding experience. I guess the best way to describe it is when you go fishing with a family member into a place where you're not too experienced at fishing, but you stand there in the boat or on the stream or in the water, the dock or whatever, and you just kind of sit there, but you're not really doing it, you're just waiting for something to happen and you're bonding. Now, I'm not saying Final Fantasy fighting is that boring, it's just that it's the time that you spend. I'm only using this as a social example. You're saying like, oh my god, hours and hours playing the game, just doing one thing at a time, just that one thing. Yeah, you're doing it with like 5 other people. Was it 5 or? I believe it was 5 other people. Parts of 6, it has been years since I played that. Now, the times that I spent bonding with these people, and I love the fact that the servers were shared with Japanese and North American players and European players was fantastic, and the fact that they had that translator in there, it was just great. Why don't any other MMOs have that? It's just ridiculous. I haven't seen many other MMOs with a translation function in it. And it's like, even though it's obviously can be done, it's like, but yet we continue to segregate ourselves in all these different servers to where it's like, no, Americans only can play with Americans, Japanese, Chinese, European, British, Swedish, Poland, France, or Germany, whatever. Sorry for you people below the equator. Australia, South America, Africa. Sorry, guys. And but why? It's like, yeah, I can see people will get annoyed. It's like, oh crap, he doesn't speak English. It's like, but I like the search mechanic in the party system. I wish I had gotten a picture of it. It basically, you put your bios on there where you're the Japanese, English, UE speakers or whatever have you. You can put it on there and flag itself. If you want to be closed-minded like that, just not try to speak with these people, it's right there saying, look, I speak Japanese, but I'm willing to speak, and I'll use a translator and party up with you guys. You can do that. You can just avoid these people altogether. Look, that's you. That's your prerogative. Whatever. Fine. But it's like, the translator's there for people to be spread around. You have more community. You have you can try to communicate with each other to where, well, yeah, you might get those stubborn people that will not really try to communicate with you, and it can be frustrating, but that's just how the whole world in life is. It's just all these people, they're out there, they're hard to communicate, and they just have their stubborn ways. And you know what? That's fine. You just know that person, you can blacklist them, whatever. That's always cool. They didn't put a looking for group party system in this game. About 80% of me says, thank God. Thank God. Thank the 12. I think it was who they worship. Thank the gods in Final Fantasy, because it was a blessing, and it was kind of a blessing but a curse at the same time, where you didn't have to even look for people, and as soon as you done your thing, you got in the party, ran your course, got the hell out. You wouldn't see that person because of cross realms, of course, and you could be a total jackass at that point because you probably never see that person again. To where, yes, looking for people can be quite aggravating at times because it does take a long time, but when you get that party together, it just feels that more rewarding that you worked for. It's like, oh my god, thank God. hi, how you doing? Let's try to work together, know each other, so we're not trying to piss each other off, and maybe I can ask you later, do you want to party up? Guys, I almost forgot. We started every show with a shot, and I just kind of got too into it. Alright. Cheers. And now, people are going to disagree, debate about this all the time, and it's like, look, there's two sides to every coin, and a lot of people say, oh, no, party fighting was a blessing. I didn't do crap, and I can go do whatever I want by myself in this multiplayer. I'm going to keep bringing that up. I don't care what the rest of you guys say, it is a massively multiplayer online RPG. If you want to go do your thing, and it's like, just play the whole game by yourself, cool, alright, yeah. I'm just like, but if I wanted to do that personally, I just find a single player RPG to play. Now, I know there's some things that you can't do by yourself, like crafting somewhat in this game, but yeah, there's like some areas you're gonna actually need a party to help you, like go in their dangerous areas and help you get some loot, and I hope they really kept that in the game. Not loot, but materials. Anyway, okay, you go through the whole thing. The story missions are about every 3 to 5 levels or so, and it gives you a outline of basically what you're doing, who are you, which city you chose, and which all merges into one big story against the Empire. These are these badass guys, and I really love how they kind of took everything from every Final Fantasies that they have, like the Magitech armors that you see in 6, which is my favorite Final Fantasy of all, Final Fantasy 6, which hit 3 here in the States. And they got the gun swords on the judges, and the judges were from Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. And they even had the tiny Bronco in the game. That's from 7. For a lot of people who got onto the Final Fantasy train when 7 hit the station. And they have Biggs and Wedge in there too. I'm like, these are all great I forgot what the word was for it. Basically things that come from other stories they put in, things that familiarize with you with the whole universe in itself. Can't believe I'm brain farted that. Anyway, excuse me, guys. Cheers. And as these stories go along, these stories have a great way of leading you how to learn the game the first time. The gripe I have with the beginning was, it takes about a good 15 minutes to get through the story. The story is good, don't get me wrong, but a lot of text, and I heard that a lot of voice acting is going to be added into the story parts, which is cool, and because I really thought it was missing some voice. But it kind of harkened me back to the old Final Fantasy, where you just kind of read all the text to begin with, which is really good. But anyway, you go on, and the first 15 to 20 minutes or so, it basically has you running back and forth, basically getting you familiarized with the city. Is this necessarily a bad thing? I don't think so. To tell you the truth, me personally, I didn't feel that I was bored so far, because I was still invested in the story, and because it kind of kept you. It wasn't much of story to begin, but it kind of immersed you into that city. And that's the fact that go here. This is where all this stuff is happening here. What these do. You can go back and forth, use these gems to teleport through others back and forth to the city. Alright, cool. Now go to your guild. This is what your class is all about. It even tells you what your class quests are in this game, in this game, and it's really nice to it gives you a sense of what your class is. You're just not another DPS, a tank, or a healer. It's like, look, you got some background to your class and everything. So, okay, yeah, it is have a sense of your class, go outside and kill 5 rabbits, give me 5 rabbit butts and what have you. Yeah, it's your standard MMO slog of quests and have you, but it actually gives you a purpose, kinda. I don't know how to explain it so much. Maybe you guys understand. I don't know, some of you understand with it, but at a certain point, it's like, then you finally can go out. You go out, you start your fighting, and I went ahead and started leveling with a friend of mine. I was ahead of him, of course, because he started off the second weekend. So we started off, and as you go on, we part together. I started working my gladiator, he was the pugilist, and we were going there fighting mobs, and I just started to notice that we were pulling a second monster every time we pulled one of the targets, and these weren't aggressive monsters at all. And like, why is this doing that? The game scales the fighting to where, okay, there's two guys and they're teaming up on this bunny. Well, let's pull someone else in. So as many people are in the party, it will level out the amount of mobs within that the radius of where you're attacking the mob, and also, okay, let's have the mobs jump in as well. Now this is great and bad at the same time, to where it's like, oh crap, we gotta add, because a lot of them was like, no, you just want to single out monsters and just kill them out, and then start killing out the ads. Well, they used to be before a certain MMO. Certain MMO, basically, you can AoE everything and kill it, but it's like, that's cool. That meant I was a gladiator, so it felt to be my duty that I wanted to jump in and aggro everything, so I kept hitting everything with my threatening slash. Or was it fierce slash? I don't know exactly the name of the skill, but I threaten slash and try to keep aggro on both of these mobs, because to me it didn't feel that they could kill me. It's one mob, it shouldn't kill me. I'd take two mobs, and it's two of us. Concentrating on one mob, killing it fast enough so we can concentrate on that other mob before I died. Now this gave me the sense that I could start learning my character before I actually get into my first instance, because now it's like, okay, now we got two monsters to deal with and they're pretty much the same level on us, and we gotta fight this off and kind of learn. Look, so him being a pugilist, I want him to get behind the monster so he can actually utilize his skills to the fullest and put out as much damage as I possibly can. For me as a gladiator, would want to concentrate on keeping the threat. You know, yeah, it won't be the best, because I'm pretty sure he'd be out damaging me so way leagues farther at that point at our level, so he'd just grab the aggro back. But this would just keep me more determined to try to grab aggro while I'm back there, and making me want to learn my job and how it was. And usually I never play tanks. Those are like the opposite things I ever play. I will play healer, DPS first off before ever playing a tank. I actually really liked playing the tank here in this point, because I don't know, it felt like more like when I first started off levels that I actually served more of a purpose. This is only because I was partying with another person. As you're going with a gladiator by yourself, I'm pretty sure we won't get that same sense of ability that I got from the beginning. Okay, going on later. Yes, it's gonna grab. So basically, it's gonna even out. You got two people at the same level. You attack the mob at the same level. Two mobs at the same level are gonna jump in. Awesome! I thought that was great. I was like, okay. So it kind of keeps you on your toes, and sometimes it was an annoyance, because we were in Ulda, so we would grab a rabbit, and there's these huge monsters in every area. In Ulda, it's like turtles with mushrooms growing on the back. The enemy design on this thing is freaking awesome. I love the enemy design. They took some old modeling and put them in there too. Just bumped up the graphics, and they've got some new interesting looking mobs on there, which are really cool. And then I think got some ants, some tree ants over in the forest area. I forgot which Gardila. I forgot what it was called. Sorry, I don't got all the names down. And moving on, so in this sense, that was my first time feeling like as a tank experience. I have played a tank in Paladin and WoW, and I played a cleric tank in Rift. I really like cleric tank, but and so that was basically offshooting my first beginning experience in lower levels. If you find a friend and you start the game off, the game actually feels more fun, even when you're killing those mobs, because when we were killing those mobs, two would jump in. It would just help increase that chain bonus that you have, because you already got two mobs pulled and you're working on them right at that point. So we were just going, go, keep going, as fast as we could, just dropping all these monsters we possibly could. And it's like, oh wow, speed round. I was like, this is great. So going on attack, this is basically my experiences through, and it's like, oh yeah, so we just kept mowing down monsters, made it way faster, and we still got the same amount of experience by going fast and being efficient with it, and getting the same amount of experience if we were just to do solo. And it's like, I feel that's a mechanic that does encourage party play. So this is like, if people are get down, I'm pretty sure the theory crafters or whatever will go, I was like, this is the optimal amount of people in the party to get the optimal amount of experience and blah blah blah. No, but if you go single player, and do this all by yourself in the multiplayer, I'm gonna still keep saying that. I don't fucking care. You guys, it's a multiplayer game. That's just, it's black is black, white is white, red is red, blue is blue. This is multiplayer, that's single player. I'm pretty sure you can punch holes in that, guys. It's like, no, that's just fucking stupid thinking. I'm like, no, that's because I drink. Anyway, so moving on. My first party experience. All the story quests will actually lead you into your first parties. Now, your first parties will give you a quest, and basically it'll point you in the direction that you need to go. First, continuing with that. Cheers, guys. I'm going to be going over my time, so please watch the second part of this, guys. Once you get to their area, for me it was, I think for everybody at this point, it's basically going to a sea cove and killing a bunch of pirates. I was like, okay, so I'll basically, for what I've experienced through the whole thing, it's basically your run-of-the-mill MMO style. It's like, okay, MMOs has been kind of dumbing their party mechanics lately. Just have the tank run in, AoE everything, and have the holy aggro, no crowd control, whatever. Now with this one, this is almost the same thing, I have to say. There actually were some points in the game, or in the instance, I was my thaumaturge, but I was healing. Like I said before in previous episodes, I was the main healer, because I had subbed all of my skills that I could. I had 3 at the time. All of them were white mage, conjure skills. So I was the main healer at the time, which was really cool, actually, because I had infinite mana, infinite ammo. What am I, Contra? But I had infinite mana because I would basically put myself with Astral. I would cast, do a little damaging spell at the beginning because he's not taking too much damage at the beginning of the fight. This would give me a 30-second super regen, and basically I could just spam cure all day long without having to worry about my mana regen. And if it happened again, throw a heal real quick, throw out in the blizzard. There it goes again, my super regen. You couldn't do this as a conjurer, but being a backup healer, then we couldn't find healers at the time. Yes, which that does come up. Of course, you can't find particular classes because it's a party of 4, tank, 2 DPSers, and a healer. Couldn't find a healer. I was like, you know, screw it. Let's go. I want a party. I want to experience this. I want to experience this stuff. Let me heal. Like, we need a conjurer. We might. This is my first run into a instance, so I'm like, okay, if we do, then I'll leave, or someone can leave, and we can find a healer. That wasn't the case at all. Actually, I've healed up to level 30 in all the instances I've been up to by subclassing a conjurer. So that means that you are not pigeonholed to finding you need a conjurer to heal. You don't. A competent thaumaturge or caster with, so Arcanist can probably subclass with conjurer once they release that out, and probably can heal a party no problem up to 30. Now this is probably the highest I've gone to a party, so I'm not saying you can do that. It's probably past 30. After that, you'll probably need a conjurer. If that's the case, that kind of sucks, but because that leads to the fact that you'd be looking harder, you'd be looking longer and longer for a conjurer specific class. That's the only problem. But I think Arcanist, they said it was gonna come in for a healing class as well, you know, and the same thing with gladiators. So I'm pretty sure a monk who subclassed gladiator skills, and a lancer who subclassed gladiator skill, a berserker, marauder. For me, it doesn't seem he need maybe like a couple of gladiator skills, like a taunt or something like that, to pull them. We need gladiator skills, but you know, all these classes can almost feel like every archetype that you need for the Holy Trinity. The Holy Trinity, for people who don't know, healer, tank, DPS. What Guild Wars was basically trying to get rid of. They did an okay job. I just couldn't get too far into it. Now, with the okay, so when I hit 15, I was hit with a dungeon. And it was really cool. I have a picture here about how a clam could only be hit if it opened its mouth and flew out fireballs. That was a cool mechanic for one of the monsters. They throw interesting mechanics in there and sprinkle it in there, not too much and stuff like that. And they telegraph with the circle around the enemies. You can see that with the boss picture I'll put in here later on. And I would imagine these first instances wouldn't want to be too hard on you and basically give you the fundamentals of what's going on. But at the same time, it kind of says, I'm pretty sure you guys have been out there playing a lot of MMOs out there, and playing instances so far. So, and if you're not, it still has a nice medium in the middle to where you can still could find out. It's like, okay, I heal. Oh, there's a big red circle. I probably shouldn't be standing in that big red circle. And the loot system's basically the same with all the MMOs: need, greed, pass, and loot hasn't been too much of a problem, seeing how it's basically one has been mostly for Disciples of War and one has been Disciples of Magi. And I'm pretty sure I missed a couple of things. I will cover that in the next video, guys. And I appreciate you joining me. And please watch set part 2, where I can cover the story. Maybe I should just call that part 1 of the story or whatever. But I'll be talking a lot about party mechanics in the first, because one of my favorite farts. One of my favorite farts when I was in the party. I farted so hard, it blew the monster away. It'd be terrible if it was a freak, because actually that was my favorite party fight that I merged, because it actually had a lot of mechanics in it, and it actually, a lot of people, when I fought the thing about 5 times, and a lot of people was like, oh, it's so frustrating. It's like, they're simple mechanics, and it actually makes the fight interesting. About two of the 5 parties said, oh, it's so annoying. I'm like, no, this is fun, because you gotta pay attention instead of just hit one button. Taunt for the take, fireball for the pugilist, or the arrow for the lancer, or heal for the conjurer, or whoever's healing. You gotta move. It's like, move, debuff that guy, make sure he has protection up, get it out of the way, kill that thing. It's like, don't just face roll, and it's like, pay attention to your surroundings. I thought that was good. I'll be talking about more in detail later on. But guys, I appreciate you joining me. Please hit that like button, leave a comment. Tell me what your thoughts about the game. So if you guys have been playing it so far, tell me what you're excited for. I appreciate the comments the guys have left me from the past videos about giving me more information about my past, about information I have neglected to say. And join me for next time. And as always, cheers and game on. The other hit would do 40, but had 80% chance of not succeeding. Then there's another skill too where it actually increases the quality of the item, so making you maybe +1 or +2, but you only had allotted amount of turns to do that. So do I go ahead and sow it to complete it, then throw in a couple of quality, like putting a little bit of quality into it, but risking the fact that I'm losing the amount of turns and improving the quality on it?